Good evening. Welcome to Northbeat. I'm Megan Roberts. A child and a teen from Chesterfield Inlet have died, and another person has been hospitalized in unknown circumstances. All of them were clients at a care home for people with disabilities. The government of Nunavut says it's launched an investigation, so have the RCMP. But as the CBC's Nick Murray reports, there are more questions than answers right now on what exactly happened.
CBC News has confirmed that a 12-year-old girl died in the Territory on January 6th. The other death was a 19-year-old who died in Manitoba in October. But it's unclear why the government took so long to act on the October death, as officials have repeatedly refused requests for comment. The Naya Isabel home is a facility for people with specialized medical needs, many of whom are children. It's the only such facility in the Territory. In its news release, the Department of Family Services said it did an internal investigation into critical incidents. Its findings were enough to refer the matter to the RCMP.
By the looks of it, there are some very serious concerns about the care that they're receiving.
Nunavut's children's representative says her office was contacted in early December, almost 2 months after the death of the 19-year-old. But there are still more questions and answers about what exactly happened.
I don't know what happened. I can't, and if I did, I couldn't tell you those details. But no, at this point, I assume that's why the RCMP are investigating. But yeah, absolutely incredibly serious because the implication of having RCMP involved is that there potentially could be a criminal charge.
Nunavut's Family Services Division has made several headlines this year, most notably in May when Canada's Auditor General shredded the department for failing to protect vulnerable children in its care. Among the findings were that Nunavut inadequately responded to reports of suspected harm, did not complete many investigations, and did not sufficiently monitor the welfare of children in care. Bates says despite the lack of details, this case saw an appropriate response from the department's head office.
Given what we heard from the Auditor General, this was really kind of a situation where Family Services, as soon as it came to their attention, they acted and they followed through and protected these children.
Now, the company is operated by the Pimax Lirvik Corporation out of Chesterfield Inlet. Reached by phone, company CEO Mark Ipiak says that he was surprised of the government's announcement and that his company has not seen the initial investigation. Meanwhile, the government's now in the process of finding other placements for the patients who are still in the home. Nick Murray, CBC News, Iqaluit.
Stanton Territorial Hospital in Yellowknife is making plans to reduce staff and its number of beds, all because a COVID-era funding boost from the Northwest Territories expires at the end of March. Luke Carroll has more.
Earlier this week, the Territory's finance minister said the government's new fiscal strategy isn't about cutting jobs, and said there are already lots of vacancies for healthcare workers. But a spokesperson for the Northwest Territories Health and Social Services Authority says it's been expecting less funding. The hospital has been planning for a return to pre-COVID levels. This means losing 3 beds in the medicine unit, losing 3 assessment rooms in the emergency department, and losing 2 beds in the ICU. The health authority says federal funding announced this week could help offset some of those cuts. An NTHSSA employee with knowledge of the situation spoke with CBC News on the condition of confidentiality because of fear their job could be impacted. They say they've been told the cuts would involve the loss of a full-time emergency registered nurse position, a licensed practical nurse, and all nursing aides on the medicine ward. CBC News asked the health authority about those specific cuts. The spokesperson said there could be associated reductions to staffing, but provided no details on what the staff reductions would include. Luke Carroll, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Hay River's new fish plant still doesn't have an opening date. The facility has already been pushed back for years, and the NWT previously said that construction would be complete by June 2023. But now the government of the Northwest Territories can't say when the new plant will open. Carla Ulrich has the latest.
The GNWT originally planned to have it completed by summer of 2020. Now, in February 2024, they said the plant is in its final phase of completion, but couldn't say when it will actually open. Bert Buckley has been in the commercial fishing industry for almost 60 years. He says he's concerned that no one seems to have any updated information.
So I don't know what's going on right now at the plant. You don't hear too much. A lot of work to be done, I heard, in time. I asked some people and they didn't know nothing about it.
Buckley says he thinks the plant is too big and the current fish production numbers are too low. The Territory is currently working to revitalize the industry, but Buckley says he's worked with youth as a mentor in a mentorship program and says he doesn't think those plans have been successful.
They just want a little paycheck and they want to fool around. That's all they want to do. It's not serious. Like when I was a kid, that was serious business, man.
The GNWT said the current plant production numbers are up from previous years. Carla Ulrich, CBC News, Fort Smith.
A taxi fare increase for elders approved by Iqaluit City Council is drawing heavy criticism. The fare increase was passed during Tuesday's council meeting. It raises fares from $5 to $7. Dozens of people voiced their opposition during a CBC Iqaluit call-in show, and among the callers was City Councillor Simon Nuttuk, who said he was against the proposal.
I tried to go against the issue, but I lost. I also didn't hear about this at first when the gas inflation and the additional cost of the fare was being discussed.
But the increase was not a surprise to everyone, including this elder from Arctic Bay.
Due to the gas inflation, the taxi fares also increase. I said about this issue to CBC a while back ago that because of gas inflation, everything else is going to increase.
The City of Iqaluit announced the new fare on its website following Tuesday's meeting, and it says the change is effective immediately. A new investigation by Radio-Canada is highlighting concerns about how some medications are being prescribed across the country. Among them are drugs commonly prescribed to treat symptoms of anxiety and insomnia. Both patients and doctors are warning that long-term use of these drugs can lead to long-term consequences. Alison Northcott explains.
When James Dean Trepanier was prescribed benzodiazepines for pain after surgery, he says his doctor told him nothing about the drug he was taking or its side effects.
I had like 30, and he says, you won't be taking it every day, so when you come back and if you need more, well, I'm going to give you more. And
he did get more and ended up taking the pills on and off for 8 years. When he later quit, he says the withdrawal was unbearable.
Severe anxiety. Can't sleep. If you go to sleep, I'd go to sleep and I'd hear like gunshots in my head. Waking up, cold sweats.
Radio-Canada's investigative program Enquête spoke with 12 people who had similar negative experiences with benzodiazepines or hypnotics.
These medications are also called sleeping pills, anti-anxiety medications.
Experts say while the drugs can be effective to treat those conditions in the short term, some warn they're being overprescribed and used for long periods of time, and that doctors and patients don't always know the risks.
There is a need for public health leaders and health ministries to put attention towards benzodiazepines because they are behind a number of health issues.
Those can include falls, fractures, and addiction. Gagnon says about 1 in 10 people in Canada has been prescribed a benzodiazepine or hypnotic at some point. Among seniors, it's 1 in 4.
They're dangerous drugs, and so they never should be prescribed long term.
Despite warnings like that, the drugs are sometimes prescribed for years. They're meant to be used for days or weeks, says this expert, who has helped people get off benzos safely to avoid dire symptoms of withdrawal.
One of them is what we call akathisia, just severe restlessness and inability to sit still. We don't have any treatment for that. It's just a horrible feeling.
Here in Quebec, the College of Physicians says it's starting to keep track of which doctors are prescribing these drugs the most. It says that's not to sanction them, but it wants to know who they are and work with them to make sure they understand how to prescribe them safely. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
A CBC Marketplace investigation found some food manufacturers are producing different versions of the same snack foods. One with controversial ingredients for the Canadian market and the other without for Europeans. Rosa Marcatelli has more.
Stick that candy in the cart. Marketplace ordered some popular snack foods from Europe.
Okay, it's here. To see how the same products can have very different ingredients, depending on where you live.
Lots of good stuff.
We compare them to the ones sold in Canada, scouring labels for some controversial ingredients. Allura Red, also called Red 40, Tartrazine or Yellow 5, and Sunset Yellow, FCF or Yellow 6.
These synthetic food dyes can cause or exacerbate neurobehavioral problems in some kids. So what that means is that they can cause things like inattention, hyperactivity, sleeplessness, restlessness, irritability, these sorts of things.
In the products we order from Europe, we find some get warning labels about these dyes, but others don't have the dyes at all, unlike the Canadian versions. Then there's another additive used to make food look brighter, titanium dioxide. It's not in these foods from Europe, it's banned there over concerns it could cause damage to DNA.
The fact that it has this potential to damage the DNA material is not something that we should intentionally add to food.
But here it is in the Canadian versions. We take that to parents.
It's shocking because obviously these companies, parent companies, are global. Why are they producing on purpose two different sets of products?
We're no different than people in Europe, so why is it that we have different content of the products? I think it's a great question for Health Canada.
Health Canada tells us they've reviewed these additives and found no conclusive scientific evidence that they're concerned for human health. Marketplace asked the companies behind the snacks why they make different versions of the same products, given the controversy about the additives. The companies tell us their products are safe and follow all government regulations. Rosa Marcatelli, CBC News, Toronto.
When my grandfather, Charlie Chaplin, first arrived in Hollywood, it was a place of dreams. But my grandfather clashed with some very powerful forces in America.
Are you a member of the Communist Party? Stand away from the stand!
I'm Una Chaplin. This is Hollywood Exiles. It's about a war of ideas that tore apart friendships, ended careers.
Available now on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Innovatum contest is open. You can read, speak, sing, or do a skit in the dialect of your choice. And you can even use filters like this one. Una nutchuk. Buvraganetuk. This is a seal. It's going to swim.
Does public transit really need more police officers? And so this is it.
Welcome to the Greenbelt.
It is now believed that Titan was destroyed. It makes sense that they get a larger share, or does it?
All of this, just single detached homes.
Yes.
What do we know? How is that even possible? Well, with a little bit of help, I think we can explain it.
About that with Andrew Chang. Watch free on CBC Gem.
Bad hair days. We all have them.
Even as scientists. I think I know my place. It's not making art.
What? This is a whale?
That's incredible.
I'm piloting a boat in the fjords of Norway. I love this job.
You never listen to me.
You never think things through.
Your honeymoon phase is officially over. We never had a honeymoon phase.
You really gonna make me say it?
Oh, yeah.
Fine. I need you, Max.
So much drama. I love it. You ever get tired of that? Still get tired of that.
The Available Light Film Festival has been keeping Yukoners busy over the last week. It features Northern, Indigenous, and international films. The CBC's Maria Tobin takes us there.
For the last 8 days, Whitehorse has been filled with popcorn, pitches, and screenings. This annual film festival has taken over the Yukon Theatre and Yukon Arts Centre. Featuring around 100 films, it's more than just a trip to the movies. It's also a time for the North to shine.
Any community, any culture wants to see themselves reflected back, and that's the job of Northern filmmakers. That's the goal of many northern filmmakers, is personal or cultural expressions.
Some of the films featured at this year's festival were made by people who grew up catching flicks right here, like Jessica Hall, who says seeing her own work displayed in her hometown theater was a surreal experience.
I've been coming to this theater since I was a teenager, and so that was thrilling for me to see that.
Available Light is Canada's largest film festival north of 60, but it doesn't only feature films made by Northern Canadians. International directors such as Karina Betkowska flew all the way in from Poland.
It will kind of warm them, inside, give them hope, because this is the film also about how Anslava changed my life, like how I got meaning of my life.
Tickets for the festival can still be purchased online, with final screenings taking place Saturday and Sunday. Maria Tobin, CBC News, Whitehorse.
Women and girls from all over the NWT and Nunavut are gathered in Yellowknife for a hockey celebration. It's a program called One for All, and it's held by Hockey Canada. There are workshops for skating, shooting, and scoring, as well as some off-ice coaching time. And more than 40 first-time players were given brand new equipment to enjoy the sport. We went down to check it out.
A big part of the One for All event was that we wanted to provide barrier-free experiences. And so that meant, paying for transportation to come in here, ensuring that they had the best of food and snacks and experience, jerseys, equipment. And it's really this incredible opportunity where kids can get exposed into 6-week programs where they can receive, the equipment, skates, gear, etc., so that hockey can be an expensive sport, and to give people the opportunity of trial before they commit, long term. And so we've got a first shift that's going on, but then coupled with that, kids that are already within the game of hockey that have already found that love, we just wanted to pay for them and make sure that they could be here too. Bring them together, make it easy, make it fun, and just eliminate any of those barriers that could prevent somebody from not being able to join us.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. Look how many people are here. It's bringing so many kids out, and just the turnout for girls for hockey is blowing my mind. It just shows that your dreams can come true, right? You just keep striving for your dreams. You come out, and they're giving us all this gear. I can't even believe what's happening right now.
First year to have it here is super exciting because we don't always get these opportunities. I think that it's great that Hockey Canada has partnered with Hockey North to put on this programming, not only for athletes in the NWT but also for Nunavut. We've brought in players from across both of these territories, and it's just promoting female empowerment and female sport and keeping girls in sport, and I think that's a really great initiative to have on.
I think it's great. It's different communities coming together, for one thing, so the girls get to meet a lot of other girls from different communities. It just shows how much hockey has grown in Yellowknife itself. I know when Maria started a few years ago, there was very few girls. Now it's grown immensely, so it's great to see the community come together, and Hockey Canada is supporting that. So.
Hockey to basketball, Saskatchewan has been playing host to several sports teams from Nunavut this week. They're preparing for the upcoming Arctic Winter Games, and we caught up with the girls' basketball team in Regina.
I am the head coach of the female basketball team for the Arctic Winter Games.
So you're here in Regina, Saskatchewan, all the way from Nunavut. How was that experience getting here?
Nunavut is fly-in only, so we had girls that had to go to Ottawa, some went to Yellowknife, and I was in Winnipeg to connect to Regina.
Traveling here was very long, but it was worth it, and I'm having fun here.
So we have players from 3 different communities who came together to play together for the first time and train together for the first time. So they have all different experiences with basketball. Some have played in previous Arctic Winter Games, and some had their first 5-on-5 game. and they were really nervous, but by the end of the first quarter, everyone was saying, "Can I go back in? I don't feel nervous at all. I've been having a great time."
So how has the exhibition games been going for you so far?
Amazing, to be honest. We got along so well. Like, we're a good team together.
I've learned a lot of like skills-based tips, sort of like some more dribbling, some plays, but I've also learned a lot from like the Regina team. Like not just skills, like we've learned about how to be good teammates, how to support each other, cheer when someone's like on the court, you have to be engaged on the bench. Like we've learned a lot more than just skills on the court. Like we've learned how to be better teammates to one another.
Simone's job is to keep Cass on the side.
We've had a wonderful experience. The university has opened its doors to us. The women's basketball program here especially, they've had players coming to our practices. In the evenings we do a team check-in, and the highlight has been the practice with the U of R female team.
So what's the next plan when you're finished training here?
Take this home and teach some of my friends and some of those little girls that I coach.
I'm very excited to head to Alaska with the girls. We've been preparing for this for almost months now, and I feel ready. I feel like I can feel confident in our team.
And you are 2-1-2 AU!
Cane's Quest is going ahead this year. The annual Cross Labrador Snowmobile race was canceled mid-event last year because of bad conditions. Snow conditions this year prompted speculation about whether the race could go ahead. But organizers say they've done their research, they've spoken to people who've been using the land, and they say the race can go ahead.
Made the announcement that you are going ahead with the race. How long did that take to come to that decision?
Well, in total, it took over 8 weeks by the time we put the original ask out for stuff. But yesterday, we were meeting for about 3.5 hours to deliberate and come across stuff and do a risk assessment and put all things into consideration, from funding right down to what the racers and what the risks associated with the race are. So it took quite a bit of deliberation yesterday, but with all the concerns and the information that we got from all the stakeholders, all the people that we asked for, which was very good and very welcomed, we came to the decision that it's best to race 2024 and carry on. The race is passable, the stuff is doable. While it is definitely going to be a different race for the lack of snow in some areas, and some areas has a little, especially now in Goose Bay now in Cartwright, or in Goose Bay and Port Hope, we got more snow now than they did 2 days ago. But we people are being given us that the ice conditions are good. Sea ice is not so good in the south coast, but inland is really good. No snow, but passable. Definitely not something for the family ride, but for an endurance race like Cane's Quest it's a go.
I think it's great news. It's good to hear that they've found a route or a resolution to continue on with the race. Obviously, everybody's safety is a concern, but it's great for the economy. We've been, for 2 winters down the road because of last year's cancellation, we've been helping teams get ready, and they've been building sleds and beating trails and scouting, and it's just fantastic. Yeah. Been a lot of friendships made over the years between Labradorians and racers from outside of the area, and some of these people have outside of the race, even on non-race years, they're investing into attending trade shows and marketing, and they're promoting. Some of these people have transport trucks with the Cane's Quest logos on the side of them, traveling the country. So it's great. It's fantastic.
Is it a sense of relief that you could make the decision that you were going ahead?
Yes, I know. For me personally, I feel a weight lifted off my shoulders, and I'm sure the rest of my team and do as well, that we were able to make the decision. We took all avenues that was handed to us, and we took all information, and we listened to everybody that we could, GSR teams, search and rescue teams in different communities, all the stuff. And from what we were given and the support we were given, we do have that sense of relief that we made the best decision at the time, and with the input from all the stakeholders that we could have. And I do feel very good about the decision made.
As you saw earlier, the hockey rink has many attractions, but the ice cleaning, probably not one of them at most places. But when Wisconsin driver Rob Podock fires up the Zamboni, he has company. 7-year-old Penny and 2-year-old Jersey are a fixture with a measure of celebrity status, well deserved. They also have other duties. Once the ice is finished, they test it out, And they help clean debris from the stands. The spilled popcorn is a favorite. Podok turned each dog into a rink rat at about 7 weeks. And that is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Roberts. Have a great weekend.
Closing this case gets you one step closer to you getting back on the squad and keeping you out of prison.
You're not a detective. You're a con artist. You have a driver's license, right?
Of course, I have 9. If you couldn't be a cop, what would you be?
Nothing. My dad raised me to be a cop. That's who I am. Stay here.
You're adorable.
You guys are making this entire station look like a circus.
He's busy trying to solve a murder. What are you doing?
Thanks for having my back.
Look at you.
Is this your girlfriend? This is not my girlfriend. She's way too cool to be your girlfriend. She's not way too cool to be my girlfriend.
Nineteen 1940 lalaw 50 sa rin yung luwang ikalaw tungan. Jambak tuwalo lakalaw kami. Pilagtok talo kama. Wakalaw yalak sa mga na sibulak tak pilagtok taw kama. Pilagta si malak sa mga gilak tawalak sa mga kama.
My name is Amanda Paris, and I am constantly thinking about culture, race, and social issues. So I want to push these conversations forward.
We found that there was animal meat fat in plastic synthetic hair.
There was a time where I'm like, should I have kids because the kids are going to be black?
I've been fired from my dream job. What's the worst that can happen now?
Now is the time to take the group chat to the real world. A 6-part series. This is For the Culture.
Watch free on CBC Gem.
Hey, you're some friends, aren't you? Stand here and now you try and blackmail her. You disgust me. Every one of you.
Coronation Street. Watch free on CBC Gem.
My dad was a railway porter. It was just about the only job a black man could get. But he had big plans for us. Music would be our ticket out of poverty. I knew we couldn't afford that piano, so I practiced twice as hard.
Nice, Daisy. Okay, Oscar, let's hear it.
Turns out, I wasn't half bad. Then I found jazz, or it found me. It wasn't all easy, though. I faced a lot of hate. But I found my stage. They call me the man with 4 hands. Well, I don't know about that, but let's see how far this ticket takes me.
From Montreal to Carnegie Hall and far beyond, Oscar Peterson became one of the most recorded and celebrated jazz musicians of all time.
Whoa, what is this?
Amazing things have been happening.
Ghosting.
Hosting. Watch free on CBC Gem.
My grandfather, Charlie Chaplin, clashed with some very powerful forces in America.
Are you a member of the Communist Party?
I'm Una Chaplin. This is Hollywood Exiles.
You can be this happy too with endless TV shows, movies, and more.